That's a big deal, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like in terms of like connections, I think you're connected to Kelshi as well, right?
Yes. We are connected with the Kalshi team, Ollie and John. But yeah,
So, all right, let me just check to see if we have our link up because I always got to do like a double check.
yeah. Let me also check it.
Because
I think it's
okay,
up.
beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, all right, man. Let me just close that out. And yeah, so thanks for coming on. I think we met up in Toronto, which was pretty cool, and I got to see you speak on a panel. And that was I think it was a pretty good panel. I mean, I kind of liked the discussions that we were having, and I just wanted to get you on the stream because what you're building is super interesting. And yeah, I guess if you want to kind of pick it up, just introduce yourself and talk a little bit about what you're doing.
Yeah. Thanks for the great introduction, John. I'm Pravesh. I'm 21 years old. I'm building Totalis. It's a derivative layer for prediction markets. For people who don't know what derivatives are, think of it as like how stock markets have like regular stocks, and then leverage came around, and then the options, futures, and all these like higher order higher order effects came around. Then like these are called derivatives, and we're trying to build that for prediction markets because it's pretty new industry, and then there's a lot of white space and there's a lot of things needed for infrastructure, so that's why we're building this.
So is it like so I think when you were describing it, you were saying that it was a little bit like parlays. So essentially, what you're building, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like a decentralized protocol that allows you to create parlays with a combination of different event contracts, but across like a whole bunch of different prediction markets. But I might have that wrong.
No, that's correct. So it's just we we are doing like a lot of different things, and the first product that we're going to launch is going to be parlays, because if you think about the space, like parlays only exists for sports markets at this point, and then not a lot of prediction markets offer parlays directly using web components or like using their APIs. So parlays are already like in huge demand. Kalshi is doing 30 million, $350 million weekly volume on just like NFL and NBA sports combos. So if you think about and extrapolate that, and they're growing 20% week on week. So that's like a huge number if you just extrapolate that. And if if they were doing that much volume on just specifically on sports, think like if you can do parlays across cross categories, and parlays are inherently like sort of a form of leverage in the sense, if you're making any trades and you're stacking them up together, uh, it just adds a multiplicative effect overall, because the probability just becomes super low, and then your outcome of winning could become super high. So if I just give you like an example of that, it could be Trump winning the elections, um, Fed rates going down, inflation going down, unemployment going up, and Bitcoin prices going up. Or like maybe you can add in like one more, gold prices going down, because all these are like kind of interlinked of sorts. There's like some sort of correlation, but these are like very logical bets that someone would make sequentially, because if you think about prediction markets, they're a form of a hedging mechanism. They started with a hedging mechanism because um, like if there is some event happening in the world and I might get affected by it, like I want to hedge my position, and then how can I do it? Prediction markets are like a direct one-to-one exposure for those things. And with parlays, you can basically stack those things up together, and you can get like a higher order leverage effect instantly, without like actually like introducing 2-3x leverage that you would do with like regular tools like with perp text or anything else. So that's the idea behind it, and that's why we're like going with parlays first.
So do you think that I've talked to a lot of different protocols in the space, and I've talked to people trying to do the perp dex thing for prediction markets. I've talked to people trying to do options in prediction markets. Like, do you think that that is kind of unfeasible at the moment? Do you think that parlays are kind of like the way to go, just because for the binary kind of outcome markets, it's just kind of really hard to do perps, in a traditional sense.
I think you touched on a nerve there, like so like that's a pretty good point you mentioned, because if you think about it, like if I see like if I go on Kalshi and see like odds, or like any on Poly Market, if I see odds of a specific event happening, it's like people confuse that with like regular like crypto prices, and it's like, oh, there's a 60% chance of this event happening. That only means like it's like two thirds of the way like it might not happen. So it's like if the event actually occurs, then doesn't matter the actual price of the contract where it is, or like where it is like in the probability distribution, it will just shoot up to $1 directly. So it already has that like sort of leverage effect, if you want to say so, inside of it. And then if you're adding and the difference between the crypto prices, that like they are like steadily going up and down, and that's why like if you add leverage or any other tool, that it's like way easier for you to kind of control them, and like figure out the LTV ratios, and then like make sure that your algorithm is super fine. But let's suppose if there is some insider trading happening, and then or like someone just like rig the market and like the prices shoot up, then like my whole algorithm will break, and then automatically a lot of people will like exit their position, and then that's like not good product overall. So I think there will be these kind of products in the future once the prices becomes like more mature. But I think we believe that I don't think it's the best way forward right now. I think we were also trying to do something like that, in the sense leverage, like we were trying to build leverage for prediction markets and then like different things. But then we talked with a lot of traders, and then like a lot of like few of our investors, they suggested us that RFQs, RFQs and parlays are the move to go, because they're super like intuitive for other people to kind of do that. And then, anyways, if you do like a regular bet, you already have that small leverage effect going to one, and then if you stack them up together, you'll have like a higher order leverage. So
Yeah, and it's like it's probably better for liquidity providers too, I imagine, like at this stage for like, for the reason that you just said, right? Because if you have like all these insiders trading on the market, and again, I haven't explored this space like as much as you have, but like I imagine if you have a lot of insiders trading on a market, it would be very kind of unfeasible for market makers, or to attract at least big liquidity. I imagine it would be tough. Is that kind of does that factor in there as well?
yes, 100%. Because if you think about it, like what are parlays? Parlays are basically like independent events, or like events that you're forming like a and statement or logic to it, in the sense like X will happen, Y will happen, Z will happen, and then if all of them happen, then I will win like a bigger payout. So uh, like like there could be like so many combinations. If I look at just like any one of the prediction markets, they're like at a given moment there are like more than 8,000 events happening across. And if you just look at the permutation and combination for like all these events, if you want to like combine them in like every sort of way possible, it's going to be huge, and nobody can launch all these order books, because there will be like so much fragmented liquidity. In the sense, let's suppose you want a specific kind of parlay made for like a specific use case that you have, then it's super hard for you to find that specific market in the listed on prediction markets, and then you to kind of get the best price possible, or like have enough liquidity in that possible. So I think that's why we are like adopting the model called RFQs. RFQs are called request for quotes. In the sense, you customize your menu, if you want to say so. Like I want to bet, I want to make a bet on like these five things, and make a file like parlay, and then you'll just ask the market makers or traders in the network, asking like, hey, like the like quote me on this, and then like whatever the quote comes back, the best quote wins, and you have an option to kind of accept it or reject it. So that's the idea behind it.
Yeah, to be honest, so I got to have like a little sneak peek at what you were doing when we were up at the conference, and it did look really cool. And I think what I was most impressed by was the interface. And of course, you don't have to like show it show it right now. I'm sure it's like kind of exclusive, but man, like it kind of was really cool. I'm wondering if you want to talk about it a little bit, because like it was very like consumer app like, which I did not expect. So it didn't feel like uh not to knock like GMX. I mean, like perp dexes are great, but it felt like very simple to use when I was kind of looking at it.
Yes, I mean, thank you for the comments. Actually, we have been like putting a lot of effort, like engineering front wise, that make it like super simple, super retail focused. Because, like I think people who are traders, like they don't really care. Like it's similar to like programming, in the sense, if you're like a programmer, you don't really care like how bad the VPS service or like how bad the front end is, you'll still use the product if it's infrastructure wise good. So like to get the initial set of users, like they care about infrastructure, they don't really care about the front ends. But I think if you want to go like far and like go retail wise, a lot of people really care about the front ends, and they really care about like how the product feels, like if like how smooth it is, in the sense like they don't really want to know like full information about, oh, this is specific markets and this is how it's going to resolve and this is how it's going to happen. There's like a full like PDF, 40-page PDF about from CFTC, that how this contract is like legally binded and everything else, and how it's going to resolve. They don't really care about that. They care about like, oh, can I, this is what the headline says, this is the TLDR that I can read myself, if I can, do I think this will happen, yes and no, and then they'll just like start betting. Because we are building an infrastructure on top of existing prediction markets, so we don't run into the risk of like if some event does not happen, or like it stops like midway, or if it's a draw, we'll just like return the money back to both parties. We don't really like, we don't do similar stuff like Alshi, in the sense like we'll stop at the last trading price, and then like even if it's a draw for a sports event, like you will like if the prices are not in your favor, like you're going to lose money. And with Polymarket, I think they do that right, in the sense that they like stop the trading price at 50-50, 50 cents, 50 cents for each token. So that's, I think, a good idea. But we'll just like return the money back if there is like some circumstances like that. So that's why we don't want to like indulge in that. But if you have a if you have already like agreed to the contracts and you're like trusting those parties with it, then you'll be like super easy to go with it. But just to come back on the interface, uh, yes, we want to make it similar and more intuitive to the like regular user, in which like they come to the app, they should feel like, oh, like I don't even if I don't know this, like I can still place a bet or like place like a wager on this. Because if I saw Kalshi's CTO, I think that her name is Lauren, I'm not sure, but like she was mentioning that like there's a lot of like niche communities on Kalshi that come around, in the sense that they like there is like small group of people that are like super niche into like music predictions, or like super niche into like movies, or like Rotten Tomatoes, and then all these like niches are growing, and then like they love to kind of make markets, and they're not traders, they're not financial advisors, but they're making a lot of money because they're in tune with the culture, if you want to say so. So
Mm.
like it's if you think about it, at the end of the day, prediction markets is for the masses. And like if you have like a trading type interface, it's not going to survive in the long run, in which like people, you'll get institutional money coming in, definitely. But if you want to go for like actual the retail flow that we are trying to go for, then we will need to kind of have like more simpler, dumber UI, in the sense like, yeah, you just click a few buttons and it's done for you. Like you don't need to like learn how the complex math behind of it works.
Yeah, that's really interesting too. Like, yeah, like there's so many people involved in these markets on Kalshi that are just kind of like fanatics of the market, which I think is like just like music lovers, for instance, like just people that are like, I know this category really well, so I can, I can make markets for it, I can do whatever for it, I can profit in it. So it's like designing an interface for those. I think that's one of the biggest challenges of creating like a terminal. So I've been working on a terminal front end for Polymarket, and I think one of the biggest challenges is that the natural way to approach it is, okay, I'm going to create an interface, like a normal exchange, but it's there's too many data categories to really. So like what people are doing now is like they're trying to fit in like a feed over here, they're fitting in like graphics over here. It starts to look like Jarvis a little bit, and it's just like it's like, how do you streamline the interface so that it can appeal to all of these different category types, and still surface like the right information. So I think it's interesting.
I
But
mean, that's like a multi-million-dollar question, because like there's so many trading terminals coming around. Actually, like, we also started as a trading terminal back in the day. Like I think it was like what, August, September-ish, and then I saw like rise in prediction markets, and they were like, because I was like an avid enjoyer of prediction markets like from the long time. I was trying to build my own prediction markets like in the start of January 2025, and then I just like I just thought like it's like it should exist in the world. It's like doing more good than the harm that people have the statement about. I and then I saw like opportunity, in the sense like there's so many prediction market terminals that are gonna come prediction markets that are gonna come around, like Polymarket, there's Predict It, there is Opinion, there is like so many different ones. And if you can aggregate all them together, like do arbitrage, there's like so many possibilities there. I think that's gonna be already huge. And then And if you look at like Bloomberg, like that's what it gives you, right? Like in the sense, if I want to like see a price of a stock, I can see it across like different exchanges, and whichever one is best, I can just trade on it automatically.
So for what you're building, like, are you gonna have normal trading, or like, in terms of like, because you said that you started with the terminal, are you gonna have like kind of like normal trading for prediction markets as well, or are you just focusing on the derivative class?
I think it's hard to say like one or the other, because we are like currently focusing on like derivative layer, and I think we see it as like a hugely uh, undervalued space at this moment. So I think like we will be like focusing our energy and efforts towards it like for the next at least foreseeable future. But in the future, I think we are not sure, because there's like so many things to do, right? I think like first of all, like first like we are trying to like follow the Jupiter playbook, in the sense like just like own a small niche that is like super important at this moment, and like just own it like end to end. And then once you're done with that, then you just like move around and build like other products around it, and then like you just become the ultimate like infrastructure stack, if you want to say so. So like we want to become like, if anybody thinks of parlays, or if anybody wants to use parlays and they want to get the best prices, the best options available, they should like use our infrastructure, they should use our APIs, WebSockets, and then if they and then future we're going also going to launch like multiple different things that you can do. We are still planning around it, but there's like so many possibilities that we can do. So it's like more towards like derivative layer, and once we have like conquered that, then we might like in the future like have like a trading terminal or sort of interface. But I think we touched upon that's like a good question, because we touched upon that in the conference we went to, that like how are the trading terminals going to look like in the future. And I think I gave an answer like somewhere in the sense of like everybody's going to have their own, in the sense they will be using their open claw on their telegram, and seeing like and monitoring the situation of what's happening in the markets, and then like specific things. So that will be their interface. There will be so I think like building for both humans and agents is equally important, in the sense there's like companies that are like getting valued at like multi-million dollars, and they're raising like so much money for this building specifically for agents, not even like humans. So if that market comes out to be true, then that's like already a huge market that you can just use with your APIs, and you have the infrastructure, and you also have front end. So
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good point because it's not hard to imagine like a world where like, Polymarket kind of turns into like Shopify for prediction markets, where everyone just spins up their own front end. Like, oh yeah, create like your little prediction market box on X, create, invite other people to trade it. Here's your builder code. Like if you get other people to trade through your builder code, like it's not hard to imagine that world, and that kind of tech stack becoming more consumer. So like part of me is a little bit skeptical on the pure front end business, like as a business, because I think it's becoming way easier to build stuff because AI is dropping the production rate of things or production cost. So yeah, it's not hard to imagine that. So I think what you guys are doing, which I respect and I think is a good idea, is like you're focusing on the actual creation of the derivative asset. So like, similar to Polymarket, right? Polymarket's creating the actual asset that you can trade. You guys are kind of doing the same thing with parlays.
yes.
Uh, yeah, so like I think that's kind of a good way to go about it. Like legally, what's involved there? Like if you're do you have to go through the same route that like Polymarket and Kalshi go through? Or, like what's that like?
um we are thinking about like different things how to tackle, because like if we just spend our time and energy right now like battling the legal battles, I think it's not worth it. Because if you compare like all these other prediction markets, they already have licenses and everything else, and they're just like, because they have resources and capital, they're just like buying companies that have licenses. So it's like they already have the tech team, everything ready, and then like they just need a license and they're ready to go. But if you're like a small company, I think like getting a license, if you have like some sort of an in on it, in a sense like some guy that can help you get a license, then definitely go for it. That's like you're going to be a huge moat if you have licenses. Because just off like, if you have license, you can just go to any of these like terminals that are got like that have like billions of dollars. Like that could be crypto.com, it could be like Robinhood. Just sell it to them, like sell your company to them. They're, like you will be like a fucking millionaire. But
Mm.
like if you want to build like a actual product around it, I think you need to start with products, and then you can maybe like launch it like similar to Polymarket, like geo-block US, geo-block like all the like restricted countries that we are doing at this moment, and then just like launch it to like people who can use that's like legal in their country, because they're allowed to, because there's so many rules and regulations that are like so much outdated. And I think like there's like so much kudos to like all these prediction markets that are actually trying to like make this like more regulated and more like better in US at least. In future it's going to be like more talked about, and then like everybody's going to adopt these things in every country. So it's just like
I
matter
mean,
of time.
I mean, we touched on it a little bit at the conference too, but like we were talking a little bit about like what country is kind of best for this regulatory stuff. Um, what are you thinking in terms of that? Like, do you have been like have you begun that search at all? Like, have you been like, okay, look, like I know, like I really don't like where I am currently, but I know that this place might be like the best place because I can like easily network with the people there. They're more accessible, etc.
Cayman Islands, I'm like, I'm kidding. uh,
It's
uh,
true.
I mean, like a lot of people do that because it's like there's a reason why a lot of like financial companies just move to Switzerland or like Cayman Islands, because there's like less regulations, or at least they're like more friendly to kind of accustom your things. But I think like it's not the best way forward. Like you can get that for like shorter term, like that's like a short term vision, but in long term I think like what culture did is like the better way forward, in the sense like just like be like follow the regulations to the T, like outbeat them, outsmart them by using their own regulations. And then like Kalshi, like I didn't know this, but I think Kalshi sued like CFTC to actually win and allow like prediction markets, election markets to come to prediction markets. Before that it was just like regular like small scale event happens. And then like they were like they got canceled for a year, and then they were like, okay, we'll just like try again next year. And then they lost 30% of their headcount, because they just like put so much energy and resources into it. And then they still decided to double down the next year, and they actually won the case. So I
Yeah.
mean, it's like it's very commendable. It's not recommended, but it's like, I mean, if words comes to something, like if you want to build like actual like long lasting business, then you'll have to kind of follow the regulations, and then like kind of like work with it, and then you'll be able to kind of make something worthwhile. Because if you want to get a retail product in hands of everyone else that is using it, then you'll have to kind of follow the regulations.
Yeah, I mean, the way that I see it, there's yeah, they sued like they sued the regulator, like you said, they sued the regulators, and that basically allowed them to make this push where a case was settled. It was really smart. It was a really smart thing to do. It did build a moat for them. I mean, they
Yeah.
did have like it did actually end up building a moat, and I do think that like when like my theory is that there's really only two moats for products for well, maybe like three modes for products like these is mind share, which is like the weakest mode, liquidity, which is a really strong mode actually. Liquidity is hard to get, and then there's regulation. So like those are kind of like the three biggest modes that I see for these products. Otherwise, you used to be able to rely on the tech. And if you disagree, let me know. But like you used
No,
to be able to rely on it, but now it's just like the tech is getting easier and easier to build. That's kind of my theory. But I could be wrong though.
I have like a like overarching angle in that, in the sense, think of it as, I think this also, like I'm just like stealing credit from like our investor, like he's great. His name is like uh, 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 fuck, Abhi, sorry, Adi. He writes like 50 cents on a dollar Substack, and then he talked about this in a sense, like if you have distribution, like if you think, I think he wrote like a great Substack on like Robinhood's volume, because like if you look at Robinhood, like they're like regulated, and they have like so much retail order flow, in the sense there's so many like regular people that want to buy like crypto or like any other assets like for $5 to $10, and then the average size like of the bet is like $5 to $10, and then they're using the app to do it because that's the most accessible thing. And like I think Kalshi was partnering up with Robinhood, and then once Robinhood just like switched overnight over Kalshi to like Opinion X, there was like a platform, Opinion EX, and then like Kalshi's NBA volume dropped by 3x the same day.
Oh
Like it
wow.
just shows that like in the sense, like if you have distribution, if you have like the mode of like, oh, I have a product that is regulated, and then I have the app in everyone else's phone, and they're going to use this app. Because I mean, it doesn't matter, like if you think about Robinhood, they started with like crypto prices, or
Mm.
like just crypto markets. Then they launched the pre-IPO thing, in the sense like you can buy private companies with the complicated structure, but they made it happen. Then they launched something else. Now they're launching prediction markets. They also bought like a DCM licensed company for like launching their own prediction market. So it just shows that like if you have like a good order flow, or like good distribution of like people, or like regular retail people that are like following, or they know you, or they know the product, or they're using it in like some sort of a capacity, you can just go to other people and say like, hey, there's so much demand, like you just come to our platform and you'll win overall over the time.
Yeah, it's almost like the way I see the market happening right now is Polymarket is like distributing the prediction market products to like the masses. So like if you're just a regular guy like me, or someone like an unregulated guy who just wants to start a prediction market, like you can just use Polymarket's API. Whereas Kelshi is more like the institutions, like it's like Coinbase. Do you want a prediction market? Robinhood, do you want a prediction market? Like that, but these guys are gonna dominate the actual like liquidity that is being used to make these markets basically. So I have a theory that people aren't even going to be using Polymarket's front end in the future. Like people are just going to be using it through everyone else.
Yeah, it's going to become the same, as if like right now, like everybody's relying on Robinhood's things to use, in the sense because there's like so many players, right? Like it's like Coinbase, there is Robinhood, there is like other big companies like Gemini and all these companies that have like regulation and everything else, and they have like firepower to kind of fight in, because they're already offering like one sort of a product, and they're going to offer like different sort of products in the chain line. So I think like one of the potential solutions could be just like uh, build something that they cannot like build pretty fairly quickly, just gain a lot of traction, and then like just like sell it to them, and then it's like move on, like build different things. Because there's like, if you like, otherwise you have to like fight the whole like regulatory battle, and like if you win, and that's like the potential upside is like huge, because then you can do a lot of things. But I think distribution is going to be like the big thing. Like if you have distribution, if you have the mode, it's not even mind shares. Like if you have distribution, some sort of like, it could be physical, it could be digital, it could be like you have like so many people just like tuning in. You have some sort of a in on them. It's already huge, huge mode.
Is there like a specific market that is better for parlays? Like do you expect like for instance when you're creating this product, do you expect that there's going to be certain markets that are going to be like really in need of these, or is it you know kind of like every market that needs them?
That's a very good question, actually. At like, as a creator, I would still say like I don't think you need parlays for like every sort of market. Because if I'm like a regular trader and I just want to buy like a specific sort of a event that I'm interested in, then yeah, I don't need to use a parlay or like build it. But a lot of people like the optionality of parlays, in the sense like, I suppose why parlays are so popular and viral in sports, because it's like there's a live event happening, I want to engage somehow, and then rather than placing one bet of like, oh yeah, this will happen, I can make a platter of bets together, and then like serve them, saying like, if all of them happen, or like maybe two out of three happen, then I win a potential outcome. That's like already used. So that's why like they can put some money in where their mouth is and actually see like what's happening, and they're like also engaged, and they feel something after that. They're like, oh, I was right, and I had like used this my analytical skill or something like that, or it might be just a fluke. But for like as I described previously, like the sequential events, like that are like more logical for like you to hedge your position, or like it could be, let's suppose if you're like making Oscar parlays, like Oscars recently happened. So in the sense, like if you know, like if um, Timothy Chalamet is going to lose, then you can just like make like no parlay, like a no on them, and then like make a no on his movie too. In the sense like, will Timothy Chalamet win the Best Actress Oscar award? So you can say no, and then you can also say no to his actual movie that was like Marty Supreme. So that's like more sequential order, like in the sense like, oh, I'm not even just thinking like, okay, I just want exposure to this thing happening, like one event happening. I know like what's going to happen in the second order effect, third order effect, and fourth order effect, and I'm also like milking money out of it, in the sense like, oh, I know these things are going to happen, there will be like some price movement because of these things, like x event happening, then I can just like make a big parlay, because all of them are going to happen, and then I can win a bigger outcome. That's the more logical sense that we're going for. It's a little bit abstract to say so these things, but like example could be like just any of these events.
Um, so I guess so my final question about like what you're building is kind of like end game, or well, maybe not end game, but like what to expect in the next few months. Like what is your guys' plan for launch? Might be too early for that, but I'm just curious if you have like a kind of like a timeline going on. And then of course, I'd like to ask personally about like if there's a token associated. I know you guys are building on chain, but yeah, I always like to see if there's like a token so I can invest potentially. you know.
Uh, um, like we first, like just clear out there, like we are not going to launch a token.
Okay.
We are going to be like a traditional like equity company, in the sense like you can, if you want, like you can invest as like an angel or something, but there will be like super hard for like us to kind of launch token, because it's like if you launch a token, then basically like you're subject to like what people think of you, and then like it's just going to be like yes or no. It could like turn out super great in the sense like if you, let's suppose, if you try to like pivot and do something a little bit like different, that could not, that could like potentially kill the company, because there's so many examples that like just token pumps up, like everybody's using on testnet, everybody's like excited about this, and then like as soon as they go on mainnet, everybody gets their community awards or like airdrop, and then they're like boom, like sell, 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 sell. I don't really care about this chain, I don't really care about this product. They got their piece, everybody got their piece, the everybody made money, and they're like just going back home, and like you just become like, either you become the exit liquidity, or like you just make a bag out of someone else and like just go home. But that's why we don't want to be subject to that, so that's why there will be no token. But we will, long term plan for us is like, because we are basically building our own protocol and like architecture for this, so it's going to be interesting. And it's like we have a private testnet, or like beta ready on testnet, that we're just like sharing with like internally with people, and just like getting their feedback on like, oh, what do you like, what do you not like, how can we make it more intuitive overall, design structure wise. So we are working on that. It will be like few more iterations, and then we maybe we can just like launch uh, on mainnet on like a small like test users, in the sense like you only you can use it, and then once we believe that, look, okay, this is like safe enough for everyone else to use. Because if you're like dealing with blockchains and like a lot more crypto technology, then you have to have like get audited, make sure the smart contracts are right, you have to do a lot of testing back and forth, so there's just like a lot of process. But if it was just like a regular tech, like web2 tech, then it would have been like a lot more faster, and like we would have like actually launched by now. So because we have the technology ready, we just like testing, getting feedback, making sure like we have a lot of promotional stuff right. And also just like I'll just like drop like one piece of information, or like alpha here, like so we might be the first company in YC to take stable coins as a payment form of method for funding. So like we're also going to go for that, so it's going to be like huge, in the sense we also want like other partnerships going, and there's going to be like few more like announcements coming like soon, like a good launch video, good like everything. So like next month is going to be a lot of announcements, a lot of like noise happening on Twitter. But yeah, stay tuned.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's like yeah. So I know you guys are backed by YC, which is congrats on that, by the way, and
Thank you.
getting in. But I think the point you touched on is really interesting. Like for a long time, I thought YC was super bearish on like crypto companies. You guys are a crypto company, kind of. So right, like, or maybe like you're a
I mean, I would not say we're like a crypto company, because that just like puts like everyone in the box of like,
yeah.
yeah, this like this is just we're we are using crypto as like a proper use case that like fits our motive perfectly. It's like if we had an option to like not use crypto, then like we could have done it better. Then we would have used that method. But the thing is, because we allow like non-custodial wallets, we allow users to kind of deposit their own funds, they control their wallet, we don't control their like own any of their money. Like everything is like happening through like smart contracts, so like we don't actually own or like execute those things. So regulatory wise, it's a lot more like saving ourselves, in the sense of a company in which like if you just follow the Kalshi method of like actually holding tokens ourselves, storing it somewhere, and then like getting it back to you, then it's going to be like we're going to like regulators are going to like come back to us, and like we're going to get sued like to the T. So we just want to make sure that we are using crypto as a financial rails for our platform, and that's our perfect use case that we are going for. So that's why we are using crypto, but we are not like a crypto company, if you want to say so. We're just like using it as a use case for moving forward.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to do it. Like it goes back to the token thing. Like I think you're absolutely right about tokens. Like your business is the token, right? If you launch a token, that's your business, or it becomes your business. We launched a token. We found that we ran into, it's a tough thing to separate yourself from that. So I think it's like some companies do it really well. Like some companies have done it. I remember earlier in the year there was, or last year there was like that whole ICM thing that was going on, where all of these kind of Web 2 kind of companies, not even like crypto companies per se, but just Web 2 guys were launching tokens, and it kind of like some guys finessed it really well, but it kind of it does kind of eat into your existing business,
Yeah.
which is tough.
I
So
mean,
I definitely understand the need to not do that.
think
Um,
about this, right? Like, if you wake up in the morning, you're like working so hard every day, like engineering team is working so hard, and like you're building the product, like you think like it could actually like change the world or like how people use things, and then you wake up and your token is down 50% because some guy just tweeted about this saying like, oh, this is like related to some shit, and then it does not work, and you're like, what's even the point? Like, if I am like
yeah,
so uh like it's not that defensible, then it's not worth it, because uh it's just like not good for like anybody's mental health. Because let's suppose if you launch a token, it's great because a lot of companies have done it in the past and they have done it like pretty successfully. Like, if you look at the most successful, it's like BNB. Like, once they launched, because they didn't have like any outside funding, so they what they did, like they became the best, if you want to say, terminal or like a platform for buying and selling cryptos, like within 6 months. Like, they were like all over the world, like they were like ahead of Coinbase, because it was like the product was so good, and then they knew like they needed some sort of funding, so like they just launched a token, and whoever holded BNB tokens, then they got fees exemptions on Binance, and then that's how they started selling it. And then they have like integrated BNB like properly into the infrastructure. And like now they're also like, there's so many things, like actually, like if you look at like Esther or like any other like chain that are building alongside of BNB, that's like already like popping off. Like, if you see like these Chinese meme coins, if you want to say so, like they're like so much, like 200x leverage is like possible on BNB chain. That's like just stupid. Like, if you think about it, like I have $1, I can buy $200 worth of goods. That's like like it's like unfathomable. Like, there's so many things that people are doing on that chain that is like innovative, but it it will like take some time for like mass adoptions. But I think they have done like figured out a way to do it like properly. So there is like definitely way to like make that work. But I think, like, if I had a choice, I would not do it. If
yeah. I mean, you have to time it right. Like my theory with launching a token is this: I think you can make it work as a company, right? I think we've seen it work. Like again, like BNB, perfect example. It has worked before, but you got to time it exactly right. If you time your token launch to like the couple months or a year before the bull market or something like that, or maybe even like half a year, and then the bull market happens, you have the entire bull market to just market, gain traction, you're riding on your token. But if you're launching your token like at bull market peak, and you're just building into a massive bear, which I think is like the problem with a lot of these tokens. Like they don't launch at the come up, they launch at the come down.
Yeah.
But they still get hype because it's at peak when they launch. So like they're just building into this bear cycle. You're very like I think the main issue is that you're very subject, and you're still subject to this as like a non-token company, but you're very subject to like the whims of the market,
Yes.
and that's just like really tough to build it as a founder. It's just really really hard.
Yeah, I think YC also suggests like this one thing, in the sense like, don't share that you're in YC, or like don't share like any of these updates with anyone else until like you're ready yourself, because you're gonna get like so much like public traction, like, or like public attention eye on you, that like if you don't have anything to sell to them, or like if you don't have anything to talk about, then it's gonna be like gonna eat you up in your head. Because like, let's suppose if you launch that you're because we got accepted into YC like a couple of months ago, and we didn't make any announcement. We just made an announcement right now because it just made sense with our calendars, and we wanted to kind of make a sync and everything else. So uh, we just want to make sure that we have enough things to kind of give to users, and we have like enough confidence in our product that, oh, it can work and it can do. So like, we're not just like subject to those things, because like you can like see a lot of things, but like those things like affect your mindset in thinking like, oh, like if I do something and the token price goes up by 20%, I should do it more. Like it's just like not the best incentive for you to do that thing, but like it just like happens that way. So I think like that's why like best of the best companies, they like go private like after so like go public after so long, or like like one of the best examples is like Elon Musk like taking Twitter off to private market, like buying it off, and then making it like private from public, because he knew like he wanted to make some drastic change, and if he would have made those things when they were public, then they would have kind of like scrutinized a lot, and then the price would have gone to like shits. So I think it's just like if you want to make drastic changes, like you should not launch a token. But I think it's like there's both sides to the argument. So it's like pick your poison.
So my last question, I don't want to keep you too long because I know we're at like 40 minutes already, but my last question is just kind of just a general, like what your take is on 2026, 2027 prediction markets. Like, do you think things are going to look like, I'm going to be honest, like it has been really bullish for prediction markets. You can see it in poly markets trending volume, like you can see the volume continuously, like interest volume or whatever continuously goes up. And it's just been like super bullish. It's been all over the news. I mean, now you have like massive prediction market accounts that are affiliated with Polymarket, like that are putting information out there. They're tied into the news cycle. I'm just wondering, like, do you see problems on the horizon, or do you see do you think things are going to get more bearish, or do you think things are going to continue to be bullish?
I think it's going to be a super cycle, because there's so many things happening right now, and there are like so many amazing builders like gravitating towards prediction markets. Like I think, like I don't know if it was like planned, but like everybody thought like AI could be used for different things, and everybody's using OpenClaw for building Polymarket up and down bot, because so people, I think like people are realizing the value of prediction markets in the sense like, oh, I can just use it for like this my day to day activities, or like just like hedging myself from like an event. Because there was also uh, like a report that came out, that like the doomsday article from uh, a company that suggested that like, oh, AI is going to take over like in 2028. Like most of the companies are going to like fell through, like every like DoorDash will be replaced by like a vibe coded DoorDash for everyone else and everything else. So I think those things, like if that happens technically, like if you think about like if I want to hedge myself for the whole generation that's going to come ahead, I can just buy that token, like buy that contracts, and then like hedge my self. So I think people are going to realize a lot more like what powers prediction markets hold. It's not going to be like, I think BTC up and down markets are going to, like crypto prices markets are not going to be that bullish after a point, because everybody's gonna like realize that people who are building bots, they are the exit liquidity, because there's like so much price manipulation, or like there's so much like lag and different things happening that you're like not controlling actually. So people will be using it for different reasons. But I think I'm overall bullish in the sense that there'll be like, and also I think I've been like hearing things that like there's going to be a lot more other prediction markets that are going to come around, that are going to be like a lot more like consumer friendly, or like a lot more like friendly to the users, in that sense that uh, it makes sense for like the math nerds, or like the proper like people who want to be traders, or like want to like make trading things happen on the prediction markets. They're going to use those things. So it's like everyone will have their own specific stack for specific needs, in the sense, well, I'll use Kalshi for like this particular market because I know they're best at it. Like I'll use Polymarket for the depth of markets that they have, or the wide variety of markets that they have. I'll use, like there will be like so many like specific pain points that each market solves, so they'll have their small modes that everyone else will be competing for. So I think there will be a lot more competition, and competition is good for users. So
Bro, to be honest, when you mentioned like DoorDash feeling vibe coded, honestly, it kind of already, like so many of these apps already feel vibe coded. You know what I'm saying? like you go on to some of these, I think what's the term called, like enshittification or something like that, where you
yeah,
get into one of these apps and they grow and they scale, and then they kind of get worse over time. I don't really see, like the doomsday stuff. I don't really see like AI as I don't understand the bearishness on it, because for me it just gives people more agency. Like if you have if you're already like a high agency person, you're starting companies, you're reading about how to you're looking for opportunities, it just allows you to capitalize on those way more. So it like to me it's just if everyone in a world, if everyone had their own like prediction market, like on Twitter or whatever, that they just vibe coded up, that would be a very interesting world. I think it would be, it'd be kind of exciting. I
I,
mean, the problems that I see, not to go on like too much of a rant, but they like, I guess one of the bigger issues that I see cropping up, and this was probably already an issue, is more on the trading side. So it's like, for instance, like if for people that are not, how do I say it, not informed on a lot of stuff, you could just spin up like an article and be like, yo, like trade this trade this market or whatever, degen into it, and then they'll do it, and then you can like, kind of manipulate markets like that. I mean, I think like recently we were looking at some stuff with like the Netanyahu market, for instance. Will Netanyahu be out? And there was some kind of unsubstantiated reports that came out, showed him like, maybe like an AI video with him with six fingers, and people kind of FOMOed into this market. I think it's at like 3%, 4% right now. But it's easy to see how like someone who's posting that article could be like, "Oh yeah, I also bought on the other end, so I'm like selling while you're buying into it." I guess I see more of that happening, but I'm just curious on your take on insider stuff and kind of like the recent news that's been going on, and you know
I'll touch upon it. There are like a lot of things to be tackled. I think the doomsday article thing, it's I don't think it's gonna happen. I mean, there's always a possibility that it might happen, but I think like people are gonna realize like it's not just about the product; it's about like uh, their actual like DoorDash's moat is actually the operational side of things, not the actual app that user is using. That's just like a forms like a means to an end. But so I think the like it's just like small things that people don't realize, and I think people are smart enough that people I think a lot of people just give like or just like give like when they're talking about like consumers or like retail markets, they just like assume that everybody is dumb and they don't need to like understand anything else. But I think like retail users are smart, they understand what's happening, they're like super like they're now catching up with reels as a news or like seeing like prediction markets, and they're getting informed about different things. So I think it's gonna like go a lot more mainstream. I think uh, and then like prediction markets are also gonna like be used as like source of feed or news rather than like actually just like people trading on them, like similar to stocks in sense like, oh, this happened at this company, I'll just like quickly look up the stock price to see like, oh, what's happening. It's going to be similar, and it's like, oh, this event is going to happen in the world, I'll quickly look up like on Polymarket or CarShare like a trading terminal to which I can see like what is the consensus saying, like actually that's this, is it going to happen, is it not going to happen, because there's so much fake news circulating around that it's like hard to kind of keep up with like what's real, like who's real, like who should I follow, who should I not follow. And coming to uh, the markets that you mentioned, I think uh, like I don't know, like if there is this, I think there is definitely like insider trading that happens on like specific platforms, and like, but it also is interesting point that like a lot of people do like price manipulation or price discovery, in the sense I heard about like a BTC market, in the sense there was like a Bitcoin whale that just like opened a long position like using 100x leverage with like as little as capital possible, and then just to kind of like manipulate the Bitcoin price to kind of like go above a certain threshold so that he can win the position, because all the bots are buying that it's going to happen, and then like it actually like just started like falling down, and he was then buying it up because he knew it's going to go up again. So he was just basically manipulating the market in like different forms that you cannot think about, in the sense like a lot of people talk about, right, like there's like so many like hedge funds that like deploy satellites in the space just to kind of see the oil tankers like going up and down and things, so that they can figure out what are the oil prices going to be in the future. So there's going to be like a lot more extremity happening, in the sense people are going to go like a lot more extremes. And I actually like prediction markets actually taking a step back on like the death markets, or like the markets on like people who might get out of the office, because like if you think about it, like you're also incentivizing people to kind of do those things just to kind of win a certain kind of outcome, in the sense like on Super Bowl, like a guy just like ran into the field just because he had put on a bet, and he made a whole video about it. It was funny because it was like non-consequential, but imagine it was if it was like something like I will do a murder of someone else, and then like this actually happens, and then he has like financial motives to actually do those things. So I don't think it's that good of a sense for that those markets. So like we should be also like careful of like what kind of markets and like what kind of subject of market we're launching. But it's gonna be like those things are gonna exist more and more in the future.
Yeah, and like the manipulation in a way does bring people into the market. Like it actually makes the market more fun. Like there's another side to that, right? Like if you can figure out how to play the game better than someone else, that's part of the fun of the market. I mean, it's bad for the guy on the other end, but like that's what it is, right? That's just what it is. I like to be honest with you, that Netanyahu market, I'm still, I like I don't want to admit it. I did buy a small bit on like the like like on polyfactual we said it was a bond. We were like, this is definitely a bond. But on the other side, I did buy a little bit on the yes side just in case, because I was looking at those videos and I was like, okay, there are rings disappearing and stuff. I don't like I got a little like to be honest, I got a little convinced myself and I was like, okay, if it does work out, it's like massive upside. So whatever. But like $20, you know what it is.
John is in the trenches actually like following the situation. I've
Yeah,
been
yeah,
seeing so many news in the sense like I think that's also like a good side. I think you mentioned that like like if there are like actual firms doing these kind of manipulations, that just shows that uh, like there's actually like interest in these markets, because like otherwise why would someone do that, or why would someone actually spend their time or effort to kind of build a bot or like build this kind of like systems in the sense that will manipulate the market and they can win higher positions, because unless there was no incentive for them to do that. So I think
yeah.
that's good. They're in a sort of way providing liquidity to the market, so that's like making it more efficient overall. And I think there will be like different markets that are going to be like more cool in the future, that are going to be like super niche. It will not have super like a lot of liquidity, but those are like important markets to exist in the world just to kind of see as a news form. So
Yeah, man. Yeah. I definitely agree. I'm also bullish on prediction markets. Like I think that it's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger, especially as we go into like midterms and all these like like every time there's a massive news event, it's just going to get bigger. Because it's so tied in, it's so linked into the news. Um, cool, man. Well, yeah, Pravesh, it was great having you on. Thanks again for coming on and talking about what you're doing, and yeah, let's do it again.
100%. I'll definitely like to come back like when we actually once we actually launch. We would love to kind of like showcase to the polyfactual community and like how can we use this new product, and how can we like integrate with you guys, and we'll actually like make that happen in the sense like we'll allow, like we can like partner up with you guys, and then we can like allow people to kind of trade the parlays through polyfactual's terminal.
Cool. Sounds good, man.
Perfect.
Excited. Cool, cool.
Awesome. Thanks, John, for having me.
Thanks. See you
Yeah.
later.